you guys, it's Cece. Welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to give you guys top 5 legendaries that you need for the beginner to mid-game account. Essentially, if you get any of these champions, you want to build them. But with today, it is not just me, I'm actually joined by a guest. So today we are going to be giving you guys a top 5 legendary list, but it's not just me here today. We do have a guest joining us for a collab today. So we have Bront with us. Do you want to say hello?
Hello, how's everyone doing?
Introduce yourself, let the people know.
Well, I am Bront Cat Herder. We have fun here on YouTube. I do Twitch as well, and I've been a content creator of various kinds for several years, and I've been playing Raid for 4.
That was gonna be my first question to you is actually, how long have you been playing Raid? So 4 years, which means you know a thing or two in how you've come up with this list with us to help players out in figuring out which legendaries are kind of like must builds, I would say. Do you think that's a good way to word it?
Yeah, these are top tier, will change just about any account. If you're a new account, you build these. If you are a late account, you build these. One of these you're going to get at some point in time, so we'll do a little teaser for that. But there are some really good champions here, and they will help your account in all kinds of areas.
For sure, and I think it's important to note in this list, we're trying to leave voids out of here because we want things that are a little more easily obtainable. You know, hopefully you guys are pulling some void legendaries, but of course, that's always a wish versus a guarantee. So we're kind of sticking to more of the other, I would say, affinities here.
Yeah, a lot easier to get. You can get them from every shard but voids, and voids are definitely exclusive, and they'll definitely, most void legendaries will change your account anyway, so there's less of a question about those. For
sure. And in case people don't know, do you want to let them know where you're sitting at with the Hell Hades free-to-play challenge?
Oh yeah, I can certainly brag about myself if you insist. I am currently the #1 content creator in the Hell Hades challenge, and I believe I'm #3 on everybody. I was #1 for a while, but a couple people have actually caught up with me, and that's fine. There's a lot of RNG involved in that, but I've been clear #1 for the past 3 weeks almost, so it's been fun.
Congrats. So be sure that you guys do go give a follow. All of this is going to be down in the description box as well, so you're able to check out Bront's journey with that. For today, though, let's start with our first champion. So where are you going to take me over for the first one?
We are going to the Sylvan Watchers here with one of my absolute favorite support champions here in Padraig.
There he is. You know, I tried to pull for him. I tried to get him.
Yeah, he was a guaranteed, I want to say about a year ago, and he absolutely transformed my account on my main account. I had an alt at the time that I was running. I got him on both of those accounts, and he basically walked me through Fire Knight to the top levels of Fire Knight. He's got an amazing aura. That dungeon aura of 25% is huge, very useful, obviously, in dungeons. The A1 is actually really cool too. It's got a reset. It's only a 50% chance, but you know what? It's a free reset on skills if it happens to land. That's awesome.
On a first turn.
He's got the A2, which is one of the better ally attacks in the game. It attacks with everybody. It cleanses your max HP damage, which makes him very useful in Hydra. It puts continuous heal on him, which is good in just about anywhere to give you bonus healing. And it's with everybody, so that's just a great ally attack. And then finally, he's got a cleanse on that A3, which is also an increased speed and a turn meter fill of 20%, which is one of the higher turn meter buffs as well. So he can be a turn meter manipulator. He can be an ally attacker. He's got that amazing passive that you were just going over there as well.
Yeah.
He put your increased attack on attack champions, increased defense on defense champions. Support champions get that increased accuracy, and HP champions get a shield. Very good for just about anybody. He's amazing even in arena with this stuff. He's not necessarily going to be the top tier champion in arena necessarily, but he's very usable in late game arena. He is one of the best champions for Fire Knight, but honestly, he plays just about anywhere you can use healing, speed, and cleansing, which is pretty much all of Raid.
Honestly, I was gonna say, looking at these skills, like, I could see where you're saying he would shine. Like, yeah, sure, Fire Knight, but you can use him anywhere. This is insane. Like, this passive too. Like, he really is like the definition, I think, of a support. This is the definition of a support champion. Would be this fun for sure.
Yeah, like I said, he's in my arena teams regularly. I put him on my arena defense because he works very well as an ally attacker, and that speed boost and cleanse is very useful. I think I've got him in my Ice Golem team only for the speed lead because that extra speed lead's great. You know, there's all kinds of cool stuff with that. So
nice. Next on our list, #2. We're gonna.
Alrighty, this is not going to be a stranger to most people. In the dwarves here, we are going to go with Gnut, or Gnut, as people like to pronounce his name. But
Yeah, I'm never sure how to pronounce these champions' names.
it is Gnut. In fact, if you look at the Call of Arbiter stuff, he was in the Call of the Arbiter. So he was a fusion back when they were doing the Call of the Arbiter stuff, which is actually really kind of cool. I don't know if you've actually had a chance to check that out or not. It's an animated series on Raid. It's very cool.
They do a great job with like their graphics on things, and even the animation in those is it's really cool.
Yeah, but probably one of the two best fusions that they've ever done in this game. It's amazing this guy was a fusion, and he is all about that A3, which is a triple hitter max HP. It also decreases defense of the target by 3%, so you can slowly chip away the defense of somebody. Hopefully you won't have to, because a couple of those hits can usually kill just about any boss. He is probably one of the best boss slayers in the game, to the point where they have had to design bosses specifically to counter Gnut. So just absolutely amazing. Counterattack bonus, the passive is nice. He puts counterattack on himself with his A2, so he's got an AoE A2 that hits reasonably hard, puts decreased attack and weaken, makes him very useful in Hydra, both for that max HP hit, but also weaken is great to bring in Hydra, decreased attack is great in Hydra. Counterattack can be dangerous in Hydra because it can get stolen, but overall still a very good skill. And then the A1 is kind of what makes this kit for Fire Knight. Triple hitter, chance to decrease turn meter. If it doesn't decrease turn meter, it instead will do a freeze. And why that's important is on hard Fire Knight, you can't control turn meter normally. You can only do it through freeze. So basically, he is a Fire Knight normal and a Fire Knight hard king, basically.
Little cheat code there, or what?
Oh, yeah, well, not just little cheat code. There are a lot of people that struggle to get to Fire Knight 10 without a Gnut. There's plenty of champions you can kind of make work, but it's basically a lot easier. If you have Gnut, you can probably have your speed slower by about 50 on every champion. He's that good.
I want him. I mean, all of the ones on this list, to be fair, I do want these champions, but he's one of the ones that I would love to pull. And I think that goes for everybody. If you started the game and you don't have him and you maybe didn't get him at that time, I think he's a must-want.
Yeah, and he's actually got an aura too. I forgot to mention the aura. Ooh, 80 in dungeons.
80 in dungeons, yeah.
That's really good too. So yeah, very usable, especially if you're struggling early on. If you get him early, you've won. So
if you download Raid Shadow Legends using my link, I'm actually going to start you off with the free legendary champion on day 1. And then at level 10, level 20, and level 30, you'll get yourself an epic. That is 4 amazing champions that you can get just by downloading using my link. Now that you've downloaded using my link, you want to make sure that you are entering a new player code. You do have to enter this within 72 hours of actually downloading the game. The code that I suggest using is Monkey King. This is going to get you Sun Wukong, who is a legendary champion who is very good, but only here for a limited time. So you're going to want to make sure that you claim that.
Speaking of winning, we're going to head over to Barbarians, and probably the most, I don't want to say controversial, but the most loved or hated champion on this list is Armanz the Magnificent. You've had the pleasure of going against him in arena, I assume?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, he is gross. Got that wonderful arena aura, absolutely amazing, very cool, similar to the Monkey King. That A1 can lock people out, so that's got a chance of decreasing the cooldown, or increasing the cooldown, I should say, of the enemy that it attacks. Very much the antithesis to what Padraig does. Does turn meter fill on him as well. I actually forgot it even did that. That's pretty gross. But he is all about the A2. That A2 is one of the best skills in the game. Attacks all enemies, steals all turn meter, and it's a steal. So he basically is increasing his turn meter by the combined total of everybody else. Yeah, he basically goes next. It's pretty much he steals everyone's turn meter and goes next, except for enemies under a sheep. And then he stuns them on top of it.
Yeah.
And it's a 3-turn cooldown as well. And then he can actually sheep people as well. So that's a 3-turn sheep, and then strips everybody else of buffs. Buff removal, very important in arena. Sheep, very useful for control in arena. The turn meter control is great for arena, as is the stun. But honestly, that turn meter control can make him great for wave content in Doom Tower. He can basically shut down anybody who wants to take a turn if he's faster than them, and it's just gross. On top of that, if he sheeps you, he can increase your cooldowns randomly, so he can partially lock you out after you get back from being a sheep in the first place. So very, very good champion.
So would you say he's more arena? Like, I know you mentioned you can use him anywhere, but I feel like in arena he'd be really, really good. Like, that's probably where he shines, I would say, especially with that aura, right?
Yeah, he is in until you get to the ultra high end of like Gold Live Arena. He is pretty much the first pick and the first ban in almost every Gold Arena
What to ask? Do if I see him, just ban him.
yeah, pretty much. And it's really rough for people that don't know how to deal with him, and it's also rough for the early game players now because he was a fusion almost exactly a year ago. He was the 5-year anniversary fusion. Which is why a lot of people are actually excited about the 6-year anniversary fusion because they're hoping they might up their game a little bit more.
Ooh. All right, I'll have to keep my eye on that one as well.
Awesome. So next up is a champion you actually have, I
do.
believe.
I have one of these on the list, guys. Let's go.
You want to go over his kit a little bit?
Well, so him, as soon as I got him, I was very, very excited just because of his use in arena. And as you mentioned, me kind of doing a little more live arena. He was one of the first, as soon as I pulled him, read his skills, I was like, I have another champion for arena. But arguably he can be used in other places in the game too. So that's my intro into him.
Yeah, he is the king of resets for the most part. There are void champions that do what he does almost as well, but he's all about the A3. That A3 there lets you know that, he means business. Resets the cooldowns of all ally skills except for that particular skill and his own skills. Fills a turn meter of all allies except this champion's by 20%. Now, there's a weird note on this skill. This skill cannot be reset by reset skills in any way, shape, or form. It's one of the few that can't, and it's very both frustrating and power creepy because some of the other champions that are void or newer can get their skills reset. But this still, even on a 6-turn cooldown, 7 turns, honestly, fine.
Yeah.
Most of the time, if you're going to do a speed run in a dungeon, you have the first wave, you have the second wave where he resets your champions, you do the second wave and clear it, and then you get to the boss. And he's one of the kings of speed runs because basically once he gets to the boss, you don't need him most of the time anymore because you don't need that skill reset once you've done it before.
Yeah.
But to make up for it as well, this removes all buffs, places a sleep on everyone. Sleep is one of the worst crowd controls, but it's still crowd control. Very, very helpful.
It's true.
Attacks all enemies. The only thing that it does do is because it's an attack and they remove buff in the sleep, it can certainly get sheep issued in arena, and that's partially why you don't see him quite as much in arena anymore, but still very, very good. And then finally, he's got an AoE with poisons as well. Most people don't build him for this poison because basically his first 2 abilities are what you're really worried about with him.
Yeah.
But absolutely amazing. Kymar is actually so useful. I have 4 Kymars. I have a Kymar army on my account.
All builds?
And I use all 4 of them. All 4 of them have different builds and they're used in different places, and all 4 of them get regular use. He's that good.
See, I appreciate you saying that you have different uses for him and that you've built 4 of them, because if you're sleeping on this champion, Ron's built 4. Just putting that out there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. So final one here. This is one, and we talked about this. We talked about these lists. We trimmed this down a little bit, and this is a void champion, but anybody can get her, and she is so amazing. And the only way to get her is to finish Faction Wars. Which we talked a little bit about on the collab on my channel, where Faction Wars is some of my favorite content, and part of it is because you get Lydia the Deathsiren. She is absolutely amazing, and her claim to fame is probably that A2, which is still one of the best skills here in the game. Decrease defense, weaken, strengthen, and increase speed, all on a 3-turn cooldown. You have trouble finding champions that do half of that. Yes. On a 3-turn cooldown, and she does all of it. It's absolutely amazing. On top of that, her A3 is still very, very good as well. Poison sensitivity, very limited use, but still useful. Block buffs, very, very good to have in Hydra, very, very good to have in Chimera. Block active skills was one of these kind of mass skills for a while, but Chimera just coming out needs block active skills. She basically has gotten a renaissance. She's one of these champions where early on you saw in arena all the time because debuffing was a meta in arena. As that meta shifted a little bit, she still was useful in dungeons. She's still one of the best speedrunning champions in the game. And then Hydra came out and she was a queen in Hydra. Now Chimera has come out and now she's a queen in Chimera as well. It's one of these things that they've made a kit so good that she continues to be one of the best champions in the game. That A1 is great. It's got a passive where it will counterattack when other champions get that freeze. And then she's got a deny revive on her passive, which is absolutely amazing as well. That's actually really good in arena. Very good for some of the waves on Doom Tower, for example, as well. Yeah, check that passive out. The passive is denies enemy revives. It's a huge cooldown, so it's certainly not worth booking down, because even a 7-turn cooldown is not great. And in fact, pro tip here for you guys: when you get Lydia, be prepared to book her. She does read, but she's worth booking every single book. Don't ascend her, and this skill won't open up until she's ascended to level 3 ascension, and you can't book this skill until it opens up. So you can save yourself 2 legendary books by not booking her, or at least booking her after or before you ascend her.
Okay, so book her and then ascend her.
Yes.
Okay, great tip. I would have probably not thought of that. That's a great tip. So she is one.
2 legendary books.
Like I said, we weren't going to include voids in here, but because she's one that you can't actually pull from a void chart, and instead it's a champion that you get, as you mentioned, by being able to complete faction wars fully. That's like 3 stars, all bosses, and because she's that reward, I think we made an exception for her on this list, but also because, like you said, everything that she does, she's an amazing champion and obtainable, which is huge.
Yeah, I mean, depending on how often you're playing the game, people have gotten her in 3 months, and people have gotten her in a year, year and a half, 2 years. In fact, I know several people that have played for multiple years and just never bothered grinding for Lydia, and they have regretted it when I've had a chance to talk with them, do takeovers, because I do takeovers of accounts at times, and it is definitely worth grinding faction wars up to get Lydia. And honestly, there's lots of good rewards along the way, and faction wars is actually a fun way to use more of your champs.
Yeah, I'm on the way. I'm at 309, and I just need to get 945, and then I have her. But
grind, but as you grow up there, you'll great rewards.
See, 3 stars getting there. No, I would say, not that we had a hard time narrowing down this list, but we did want to focus on champions that can really be used in all areas and all aspects of the game. Really focusing kind of more in on supports, I would say, for this list. And you made a great point as to like why we went more supports versus damage dealers, if you want to touch on that really quick.
Yeah, damage dealers are great, but for example, I could talk about Ethos as a damage dealer, I could talk about a Thor as a damage dealer, I could talk about a Harima as a damage dealer. Harima was actually one of the people we almost got on this list as well. All 3 of them are somewhat interchangeable with the right support, whereas a good support can enable even bad damage dealers to be extremely effective on your account. So it's very easy to look, and honestly, the sexy champions are those ones that nuke. You got your He-Mans, for example, as I can see on there. He-Man's great. It's great to have that damage dealer. He'll definitely be useful in all kinds of locations just as a damage dealer. But quite often when you build a team, it's I need these skills, I need these skills, I need these skills, and I need a damage dealer. And so you're looking for your damage dealer often last when you're building your teams. So look for those good supports, because those good supports can play anywhere, and they are going to propel your account a lot farther than some of the damage dealers, even if it does feel like the damage dealers might be something you're missing because you're struggling to deal damage.
Absolutely. Could not agree more. So let the people know, where can they find you?
Well, they can find me on Twitch and on YouTube at Bront Cat Herder. So I'm sure there'll be links down below somewhere in the description or in the comments or something like that. So go check those out. And I appreciate you having me on. This has been a lot of fun talking raid with you.
Absolutely. And be sure that you do check out his channel, because we actually did a collab over on his channel as well. And then, of course, you have the one here. So for you guys, I want you to comment down below. Let me know who is one of your favorite legendary champions. That would help kind of early mid-game accounts and maybe even to end game. But what is one that sticks out to you guys? Leave that comment down below, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.
Next level.